In this video, brought to you by the new Battle Foam Tabletop Minions Collab Skirmish Bag, more information at the end of the video, I'll tell you about the new Kill Team box for this quarter, Blood and Zeal, and I like pretty much everything in it. I'll get this out of the way quickly and then get onto the good stuff. I've made it known in the past that though I was a very big fan of Games Workshop's Kill Team game, back when it was first launched as a standalone title back in like 2018, I was not nearly as much of a fan of the second edition that came out in 2021 or the now third edition that came out last summer in 2024. Mainly, I'm not a fan of the new departure in the rules, the big changes they made between the first and then the second and third. And then also I don't like the very limited kind of list building mechanics that were in the second and also carried through into the third edition. But, you know, it might be for you. One thing that I did like about the new 2024 edition of Kill Team is that they stopped selling a big, like, new box every quarter that included 2 forces and a whole bunch of terrain, much of which you probably already had if you had bought a previous box during that, season or whatever they call it, or the second edition Kill Team they did. Now what they're doing with this third edition is they're just selling kind of a smaller box with the 2 forces and a single kind of cool piece of fancy terrain. This makes probably a bit more sense from the player's standpoint because you don't have to buy as expensive of a box if you want to keep up every single quarter. And it's probably easier on GW as well. Now, the frequent problem with selling these sets, even the smaller ones, without all the repeated terrain every quarter, is that you as the consumer might not like both of the factions that are in there in the box. Maybe the rattling snipers are like right up your street, something that you've really been hoping for, but the orcs just don't interest you. Maybe you're an orc hater, or maybe you're just an orc disliker. It all depends. Either way, you don't want everything in the box, just like one thing. But you won't be able to buy just the one thing separately from GW until about 3 months later or so. It's a quandary. For me, at least, it's not a quandary this time. The new Blood and Zeal Kill Team box is completely full of stuff that I like for once. Now, I won't be using the models in this box for their intended purpose, which is to say playing Kill Team, right? However, I really enjoy all the models in the box for both sides, and we'll be using them for other games and stuff like that, which I'll mention in a bit. And I'll also get to take a second swipe at the amazing included terrain piece, which they already released years ago, like I think in 2019, and I already bought one back then and then painted it and all that kind of stuff. More on that in a second as well. The Blood and Zeal box includes 2 forces, the Sanctifiers, who are a deeply churchy-looking bunch with the inquisitorial seals and the flamer weapons and whatnot, and then, of course, the Goremongers, who are humans that believe in 2 things, the Chaos God Khorne and robot legs. You can build 8 Goremongers and 11 Sanctifiers with this box, and also, one big shrine statue terrain piece of what looks like a Sister of Battle with, wings and a sword and all that. It's a pretty cool terrain piece for looks, but it doesn't really have a big footprint, so it's not really great for blocking line of sight too much. The Sanctifiers are really interesting to me as they can be used as religious zealots for any kind of sci-fi game that you might like. Heck, several of them would work great as reclaimers in Necromunda with a tiny bit of kit bashing, and then of course putting them on those cool Necromunda bases as well, the ones that look like metal deck plating and all that kind of stuff. Some of them are definitely packing heat, like I said, hand flamers and the like, but other guns as well, and some aren't, like the Salvationist and the Miraculist. I guess that's how you say it. I'm sure I nailed that. I haven't quite figured out what to do with those 2 models yet, really, but I definitely want to give the Miraculist a gun somehow. As I kind of skimmed the rule book, again, like I said, I'm not really going to use them for Kill Team, but it does look, at least with the Sanctifiers, that the list building isn't as much kind of at odds with the models and the way that they're built as some kits have been in the past. For example, you can choose a missionary with either a plasma gun or a melt-a-gun in your list. And as luck would have it, you can build a single missionary model with either a plasma or melt-a-gun. In some past boxes, you could take let's say, both weapons, but you wouldn't have the ability to build both weapons on separate models because, again, it would be an either or, and then you generally kind of had to either do some fancy kit bashing or potentially buy a second box if you wanted both weapons. I was pretty happy with the Sanctifier models that I initially built, but I'll admit, they did kind of suffer from the Games Workshop disease of too many parts-itis. Not an acute case, like the Suppressor jump packs, which are 11 pieces, or some of the new Emperor's Children guns, which are just 6 pieces alone. But each body, meaning just like the torso and the legs, nothing else, not counting the head or the arms or any kind of stuff like that, each body was 3 pieces, like generally from the neck down to the feet and the back, and then the waist up, or not, like from the floor to the waist is another piece, and then like the cowl on the front is a third piece. What that means is that these kind of robed zealots, right, they all suffered from big seams running down the sides of their robes where the front and the back had to be stuck together. If that's the kind of thing that bothers you, then you might want to, watch out for that. However, a really cool thing that they did with these models, something that I haven't seen them do much lately, is they made the heads like really interchangeable. Of the 11 Sanctifier models, only 3 of them have like a single specific head that they're supposed to use. One of them is the weird cherub thing and all that kind of stuff. But specifically, 3 of them have just a specific, head that is attached already. And then the other, the 8, the other rest of them, they have these kind of neck holes that you can put whatever head you want in there. It's kind of a ball and socket sort of a situation. You've got about 15 different heads to choose from in the Sanctifiers for 8 models. So you get tons of choice, and you also get leftover heads for future head swap kit bashing projects as well. Even though I had so many different heads to choose from, I did put a non-Games Workshop head on the guy carrying, like the big reliquary on a stick. It's a cool kind of like pointy cultist head from a company called Puppets War. I liked the size and the shape of it more for this particular character and kind of how I see him in the group of 5 that I've already built. He's kind of the leader when the big leader is not around. I haven't built the big leader yet. I kind of want to find a way to give him a gun, again, like I said. But when I do, then this guy with the pointy hood and the screaming face will become sort of a second-in-command type. My plans for playing, games with these models are to mainly use them in Space Weirdos, which I know, I talk about a lot of the time here on the channel, but it is a great game, one of my favorites. Also, you can stat up nearly any sci-fi models that you own to work in the game. It's really surprisingly easy. However, I also plan to make 200 and then eventually 300-point Human Inquisition lists with these models for Grimdark Future Firefight from one-page rules. As well, I could also use them for a game that Vince and I made called Space Station Zero, especially once I paint like 7 of them. That would be a good number for their crew. And then also there's the new game 28 Psalms and also Planet 28. I speed painted up the 5 models that I built pretty quickly using, Army Painter speed paints. I stuck with mostly warmer colors because I love painting in warmer tones. It's kind of my comfort zone, right? And then I finished them up with a unifying wash called Marine Juice by Sonic Sledgehammer here on YouTube. Go check out his unifying wash recipes here, pachow, and you might become addicted to them like I am. For such a quick paint job, I really like how they turned out. Let me know in the comments below if you want a Zealot speed painting tutorial, and I should probably be able to make that happen. I haven't built any of the Goremongers yet. I've been super busy getting ready for the launch of me and Vince's new podcast, The Snarlcast, about indie war games and their design, which is now available, link in the description below. Also, Adepticon prep, which is always more stuff than you would think. Due to all of that, I have 0 Goremongers built, but I have looked pretty closely at the sprues and all the parts and stuff like that. Again, we've got some too many parts-itis, but since they're not in big honkin' flowing robes and all that stuff, at least the seams look like they're going to be easier to hide. That said, there aren't nearly as many extra heads for you to choose from with these, robot-legged weirdos. A few of the models will give you like 2 heads to choose from, but that's pretty much about it. And they pretty much only go on one way. They don't have that sort of like infinite variation that ball and socket head thing in the Sanctifiers can be placed. All that to be said, though, you do put them on separately. They're not all one part. So if you want to, with a little bit of green stuff and then believing in yourself, you can probably put any kind of head swap onto those models if you really want to. I definitely plan on tweaking several of these goremongers with goofier heads. They're also mostly melee fighters, it seems. There's a few with pistols, but not many. Some with like a shorter, kind of one-handed melee weapon would be pretty easy to modify to be holding a pistol. So I'll see how that goes, I suppose. These models will be pretty easy to bring into Space Weirdos, of course, but perhaps a little bit tougher to fit cleanly into Grimdark Future Firefight, I think. Maybe Soul Snatcher cults, maybe Jackals. Actually, Jackals might be kind of cool, although Jackals generally have dog heads, but whatever. That would be pretty cool, actually. But at the very least, they'll be causing havoc in games like Space Weirdos and such. Lastly, there's a piece of terrain in the Blood and Zeal box that I already owned, but I'm glad to have a second one now to build it and paint it differently. They call it the Shrine Statue, and like I said, it looks like a Sister of Battle with wings and a sword, standing on a big pile of skulls, as one does. This statue was originally part of an older terrain kit called the Adeptus Sororitas Battle Sanctum. I bought one a long time ago, again, mainly for the statue. I painted it up pretty much like they did on the box, and it's been a great looking bit of terrain in my collection ever since. When I saw they were putting it in this Kill Team box, I was intrigued. I thought I might give a try to making this second copy of the shrine into maybe like a desecrated version, perhaps, vandalized by chaos or something like that. Turns out, Games Workshop had the same idea. In the very back of the Blood and Zeal dossier, I don't get to say dossier nearly enough in my regular day-to-day. Anyway, in the back, there was a hobby guide showing you how to desecrate the shrine and make it look different than it does on the box. Neat. So I made this video because I want to call out, when Games Workshop does something I like. I don't just want to complain about GW, but instead I do want to give credit where credit is due. And yes, I know that this is mostly a box that potentially hits my tastes, but might not hit yours. In fact, Vince and I were talking about it, and the Zealots aesthetic really doesn't speak to him. So, as well, your mileage may vary. But I was mainly surprised by how I liked everything in the box for once, and plan to try to use nearly everything in there, even if it's not necessarily actually for Kill Team games. So what do you think about the new Kill Team box, Blood and Zeal? Does it fit your aesthetic? Do the models speak to you like they do to me, or do you just like one bit and maybe not the rest? Are you bummed that I didn't talk about the book and the cards and the tokens and the rules and all that stuff that also came in the box? I bet someone else did online. Hopefully you can find their video too. Either way, let us all know what you think down in the comments below. Also, if you liked this video, engage in some depressmentation of the like button with Zeal, but not blood. I'd appreciate that. If you want to see more videos like this every single week, hit the subscribe button while you're down there as well. And thanks for watching. As a skirmish wargamer, I want a compact case to carry my models safely. Something small, but sturdy. The Pack Mini from Battle Foam is an amazing solution for this, and now we've collabed, as the kids say, to make a Battle Foam Tabletop Minions Edition Pack Mini, in red and black, of course, those are my colors, and, with the Tabletop Minions logo right there on the front. Comes with a removable shoulder strap, and 2 foam trays with all kinds of different cutouts to fit most of your skirmish miniatures. The cases are available now on the Battle Foam website for $54.99. The bag is made of rugged ballistic nylon over hard plastic panels to protect your painted miniatures from drops and knocks and all the rest. There's zipper pockets and molly strips on the front and a Velcro area on the back to put cool patches and whatnot. There's even a carrying handle on the top if you don't want to use the shoulder strap. This is an initial limited edition run of about 300 cases, and if they sell well, then hopefully we'll see more collabs in the future. The sale of these bags also helps to support the channel, and I think that they just look super cool as well. They're available now on the Battle Foam website, link in the description below, so pick yourself up some protection for your war bands, and tell them Uncle Adam sent you.